What's going on, everyone? Badger here. Make sure to like and sub, and let's get into this. There's memeing to be had, and I want in on it. The whole thing right now is we're going to watch what he said. Matt Walsh, conservative commentator from the Daily Wire, he pulled the Jennifer Lawrence. He acted like he was more or less the first person to do something, and now he's trying to say he didn't, but let's see what he said, and you tell me if you agree with what we're about to categorize this as.
Is that the video game industry, without a lot of fanfare, has transformed into a tool of both propaganda and surveillance. It's an effective way to indoctrinate children precisely because it hasn't received much attention, and also because
it has, and this is where everyone's getting upset at him, and he's acting obtuse and like, oh, I don't understand. Why don't you want me to talk about it? We have been talking about the infiltration of not just video games, but comics, movies, TV shows, and I'm using the royal we because even though the channel's only a couple months old, I've been watching this for years, and I've been talking about it personally, as my friends and family will attest, for years. 4 years. Only now we're getting some serious traction. And of course, mainstream, because he's mainstream at this point. Yes. Matt Walsh coming in and acting like he's the first person. I'll continue. I digress.
Children spend, many of them, hundreds of hours a year.
A week. Hundreds of hours a week.
And that might be an undercount, a severe undercount, with this kind of content. So it should get a lot of our attention. And now finally that attention is here.
Finally, this is again what everyone's getting upset. Finally, because we haven't been going for years since pre-2016 for some people here in the fight. But even if you're generous, I would suggest since 2020 for sure, there's been a lot of people upset and calling things out.
It's yet another reason to keep these games as far away from your children as possible.
And that's the other part. That's the main thing is people are upset that he's acting like, no one had ever heard of Gamergate. Now Gamergate 2 before that we had never heard of wokeness. The gamers had never been talking about this, as he says, little to no fanfare. He does it with, again, peak smugness that he's known for, which is fine. But this is the other thing is that anyone that's watched his content, which I have, or watched his clips knows that he has a resentment of gamers. He does. He can say he doesn't and make jokes about, oh, I'm a gamer now, He's been very clear that he thinks it's childlike. He doesn't even know how mainstream video games are. The fact that many of his supporters are, in fact, gamers. So we'll forgive him for that, even though he's younger than me. He's boomery as fuck, which is something for me to say that. But it's the fact that his prescription for this, instead of continuing to call it out and expose them, is to just keep video games away from everyone and that they just shouldn't be played, to seed the ground. And that's exactly the problem to begin with, is that you minimized it, you didn't care about it, and you let it be taken over. And now, okay, now you can say I'm saying something, but your prescription is to just let it go. Well, thanks. I'd rather you've not said anything.
And if you do that, games journalists, literally the lowest form of journalists on the planet, will accuse you of harassment.
And by the way, he's correct, but not for the way you think. He is correct. Yes, gaming journalists are the lowest form of journalists on the planet. But we know that's true because they're lying. They really want to be mainstream political journalists, but they can't. So they scrape by doing game journalism, which really means attacking us. And he's saying it because video games are so low to him that anyone that would cover them has to be the lowest. So yeah, correct. He got to the end point, but the way he got there is all convoluted.
And that's exactly how you'll know that you're doing the right thing.
And by the way, no, if you don't give them money, you don't pay attention to them, they won't call you racist. They just won't even know you exist, and they'll just continue shoveling their shite. What gets you called and attacked by the mainstream media is by calling it out, by calling out these DEI propaganda, the agenda they continuously push, by calling out the Kim Bellairs, the Chris Kindreds, and all the rest of them. And I did want to just see, of course, this is actually in a response to Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, D-Day Cobra over here saying Matt Walsh is the first person to highlight wokeness in the video game industry, according to Matt Walsh. And obviously he didn't directly say I am the first, and that's the cope here of I love when people just completely invent shit I never said or even came close to saying, and then get all mad about the thing they invented in their heads. No, you sounded exactly like, say it again.
Now let's get to our 5 headlines. Is that the video game industry, without a lot of fanfare, has transformed into a tool of both propaganda and surveillance. It's an effective way to indoctrinate children precisely because it hasn't received much attention. And also
it hasn't
because
received much attention.
Children spend many of
it has received much attention. That's the problem. Just hasn't received your attention because you've dismissed it for years. Even though, and someone posted it here at some point, but even though you have actually had, oh, that's fine. You've actually had Jeremy and Ryan on from Geeks and Gamers. So I don't know what he was thinking. I'm sure he never I'm sure he doesn't remember that. But yeah, so if you're wondering why he's this upset, it's because he did minimize it. He's been minimizing it. Sorry, let's just go right back real quick. I have to say, I've been the target of some extremely unreasonable backlashes in the past, but this one is probably the most ridiculous yet. This time, people are mad that I talked about an issue in the news. Apparently, I have, and this is, by the way, this is what they do. So it's sad to see him do this. No. Don't play the victim. You said some dumb shit. All he would have had to do to make this go away is like, yeah, my bad. I didn't mean it hadn't received attention by you guys or the YouTube audience. I just meant it hadn't received from more conservative, even though it has. Shout out Benny Johnson, who's been trying to cover this, and even, Russell Brand and others. So it has been receiving attention. It just hasn't been receiving attention by you. And here he goes, more cope. You have just accused me of not realizing a point that I have explicitly made approximately 1 million times. And this is the fact that pop culture is not an important and bigger scheme of things. And while now, and I think he's referring to Lady Ballers that Daily Wire made, he may be referring to that now, but guess what? For a long time, they were minimizing video games and movies and all of that. And it's just a bad take all around. Not something we need. So, I'm not following the Hodges twins. Well, let me follow the Hodges twins there. Anyway, yeah. Let me know what you think of this. Let me know what you think of this. I loved Matt Walsh's What is a Woman? Great documentary, very important. But on shit like this, not the time to double down on your video games are for kids and their evil shtick. Same thing with his anime takes. Thinks all anime is devil stuff. So yeah, keep memeing on him. I saw Dan Bask over here and a couple of them. Anyway, that's his. I just wanted to see if I can find. Yeah, that's fine. Go on his site. You can see everyone memeing on him. But other than that, be sure to like, share, and sub. If you've done that, thank you. If you're gonna do that, thank you. And
well, bye.